Hello everyone. Before the video starts, please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and tap the bell to stay updated with everything I do on my channel in the coming year. Today's video will be a breakdown of the 4 areas I think you should be putting your time towards for the best practice possible. How you use the time you have is very important to the pace and efficiency at which you develop your skills, so without any further waffle, let's chat about what you should be doing to improve. Coming from someone who analyzes the game at the highest level, I can tell you that aim is a big time separator with where a player sits on a tier list because it entirely dictates how easily they can kill an opponent. If you don't aim train and come up against someone who does, eventually the genetics will lose out to the hard work. I'll quickly run through the best ways to train your aim. Aim drills are my favourite way to suggest aim training, simply because it carries across inputs, platforms, and isn't watching paint dry boring. I know that no matter who I suggest it to, their shotgun aim and general hipfire aim will improve with consistent training. Aim drilling is exactly how it sounds, putting you in a box-to-box scenario with your opponent, drilling with a large amount of health. In terms of applicability, I like it because there are no sensitivity adjustment required, no FOV adjustments required. It is simply shotgun versus shotgun or SMG versus SMG, purely aim. Quite simply, the more you practice the muscle memory, the better the aim gets. Putting an hour or more a day into aim dueling your teammates could do wonders for everyone in the team's aim, making you a much more potent unit to fight. There are many other in-game options, such as the one on screen, which is called Skovaaks. Skovaaks is everything from tile frenzy like you see, to tracking options, shotgun scenarios, and it also incorporates editing, jump shots, and other relevant fighting skills into the training. Lastly, there are third-party aim training apps, the most well-known being Kovaaks. Kovaaks is popular because of the huge amount of scenarios available to players. I don't claim to understand the app very well, but from what I know there are some FOV and sensitivity adjustments required, as well as knowing which scenarios will actually be useful to improving. Put the time in to get this understanding before jumping into Kovaaks, because the time and money you invest into it should be well spent. Aimer7 is one of the people I've seen vouch for the usefulness of Kovaaks, and because he has an incredibly impressive resume, I'm going to leave some of his very useful aim fundamental breakdowns in the description below. Grinding Arena has become a bit of a meme in the community as of late, but it is something that will always help improve either personal or team fighting. If you're spending time free building pointlessly and creative, take that time and invest it into the arena grind or aim training instead. There are so many ways this will help improve you as a player if you take it seriously and use it as a time to develop yourself. I don't expect you to go into the VODs and make in-depth notes on how and why you died, but clip all of your deaths and then while in the next queue, go back over the clip quickly and just mentally note one thing from that game that will improve you for the next fight. I'm not a fan of taking micro mistakes and ballooning them to become the full reason for one's death, but as someone who is a huge believer in what VOD reviewing can do for a team's development, I think any time taken to self-reflect on small mistakes can be important for both acceptance of failure, which is something this community struggles with, and general growth as a player. Don't treat Arena like everyone did last season. Take it just that bit more seriously and land where you'd usually land in a cash cup. Getting the reps and fighting at your drop, along with team chemistry and communication, will really improve you as a unit, much more than 50-50ing Stark or Tilted will. I'm not saying box up mid-game or actively rotate to dead side, but take the time you're putting into the game just a little more like a real tournament, by not 50-50ing in fights and getting into bad habits, and you'll really find yourself improving come game time. Arena will help with so many of these small things, along with fighting instincts, aim, and general decision making for autopilot and high pressure scenarios. Speaking of high pressure scenarios, Now, I want to start this by vehemently disclaiming that I'm not suggesting players out there who aren't very good at the game start wagering for lots of money. But what I'm trying to get at with this idea is learning to build your confidence in decision making in high pressure situations that you may experience in tournaments. I personally feel nothing in Arena anymore, but if there is something on the line, in this case money, there is something to be said for the way it makes people play. People will go into their shells, lose confidence in their ability, and miss shots when this pressure is on. There are sites such as Rematch GG that offer safe third-party money distribution if you're worried about getting scammed, but again, to stress, please don't do this if you can't afford it or if you're younger. The biggest thing I'm trying to promote here is the idea of replicating high pressure situations. The last thing I'd suggest putting your time into is scrims. Scrims are really good for building the autopilot instincts required from top tier players in late game scenarios, and although zone wars can be useful for learning to W-key decent players, there is nothing quite like a scrim to replicate a tournament style endgame. Like I said with the arena deaths, every endgame in scrims you should be looking over later on. Set your clips to 5 minutes so you're only capturing the endgame and go from there. The most important things to be reviewing in late game scenarios are positioning, communication, fluidity of roles, and material management. I'll eventually go in depth into all that stuff in a later video. Another thing to do will be to look at your mats early on in the clip. If you have bad materials repeatedly, it's a good indication that your mid-game is what needs work. My mid-game reviewing strategy is top secret, so I won't go in depth on that, but once again, stay in call with your team for 5 to 10 minutes after scrims to just quickly discuss where things could improve if a zone goes similarly next time. Small investments of time from night to night will add up to be a huge amount of improvement, so start putting that time in now and reap the rewards in early February once FNCS kicks off.